Welcome back, everyone. Well, you know, in our community, we're really lucky. There are a lot of organizations that deal with teens, their issues, and their challenges from a teen's perspective. How about we look at it from the other perspective, from the caregiver perspective, from the parent perspective, from the grandparent perspective? So sure enough, there's an organization, South Glens Falls, Community Coalition for Family Wellness. And joining me today is Jen Wood, who is the coalition coordinator. Great, welcome Jen.
Thank you.
And a face you might recognize from Moreau Community Center, Donna Nichols. Welcome back, Donna.
Thank you, Jesse.
And you're the chairperson for the coalition, right? I tell you what, Donna, I'll just start with you. Tell us what the coalition is.
Okay. Well, we've been in existence about 5 years. We had some tragedies in the South Glens Falls community that a bunch of community leaders got together and said, okay, what's going on? We need to address this, not something we want to turn a blind eye to. So it was really a very grassroots organization, but we caught the attention of the Saratoga Prevention Council,
Yes, right.
who got involved. And we really have morphed into more of an organization that is dealing with youth drug and alcohol abuse. We applied for a grant, got a lot of money into our community. Jen is the coalition coordinator and came on board with that grant. And we really think it's important to work with parents. So we have different programs that we do, and I'm going to let Jen talk about our parent university programs.
Sure, sure. I'll tell you what, and Jen, I want to address this to you. As a result of a tragedy which happens in every community, every town, interesting thing about the coalition is they thought, wait a minute, in order to really understand the problem, we should bring the parents in. Because if the parents are in, they're the ones that have the daily communication with the teens, right? So that focus of going to the parent, tell me a bit about that.
Absolutely. That's really a key component. There's a lot of things in a young person's life that really need to be working together and working well together in order to help them be as successful as possible. Right. And you know, we do a lot of work directly at teens, providing them education, doing different prevention programs to help them make good choices. But those messages need to be followed up in the community, through school, and also at home with the family. So one of our initiatives, and we have the school district on board with this, is to launch a parent university program. So we have a series of workshops throughout the school year that parents can come and participate in, learn a little bit about what's going on with their kids. We're lucky enough to have youth actually attend these sessions and kind of serve as part of a panel discussion, so they give us their perspective and input. And then give parents some skills and ideas on how to just, you know, better communicate with their kids, set limits and boundaries, and just have some, you know, really better overall awareness of what their kids might be going through and how they can be a good support for them.
Yeah, got it. You know what impressed me, Jen, is that, and there's one other member who's off camera here, who collects a lot of data. You know, if you talk about drug and alcohol abuse, there's a lot of general information that's important. But one thing that impressed me before we went on air, we were talking about it, is that you try to find out specific data for the teens in your area on two fronts, which is important. Every community might have its own nuance, might have a particular issue to deal with, but also, let's face it, between 12 and 18 years old, girls have certain issues they're dealing with, and boys have certain issues they're dealing with. Well, the whole idea that a parent could be more educated, having more specific information related to the gender of their child, but also the community they live in. So tell me, you have a couple of focuses on these parent university programs that you're doing. Give us an example, and how does it work?
The first one we did back in October of this school year was focusing on marijuana. We're hearing a lot about that in the media. Other states are legalizing various aspects of this. And so kids are getting a pretty wide variety of messages, in addition to older generations who have had different experiences with this drug. So it's really hard to get kind of a clear, concise message across to kids about what our concerns are with teens using marijuana. So we designed a forum that had law enforcement, folks from treatment and recovery perspectives, coming in and just sharing with parents what they're seeing in regards to this drug. They were able to talk about some of the legal issues and the penalties involved. And then the treatment, from the treatment perspective, what they're seeing, what's walking through their doors and how it's impacting folks as well. So it's just giving a different perspective than what we often hear in other media sources in terms of the legalization and people understanding that there can be some harm or issue with this drug. So that was an opportunity to do some outreach in that area. From that program, we were learning that kids, have issues dealing with stress, and
Right,
so
sure.
we designed our next program, which was held in January, to look more at some of the things that parents can do, to help better communicate with their kids, to kind of open up about the stressors in their lives, and find some healthier ways of coping with it.
And the most recent one is social media.
Yes.
Which again is another aspect that your child certainly knows a lot more about social media than you would as a parent. How about being able to go to a program where you can talk to other adults, you can listen to a child, you can listen to an expert in the field, give you the valuable information you need that you can take home so you can mentor this child on a daily basis about these issues. One other thing before we went on air, we were talking about I asked them what specifically do you think the girls face that boys don't and vice versa. And I thought it was very telling that for girls, image. And of course, if you think of all of these so-called role models out there, if you're a young girl, where do you go to get a positive role model? You know what I mean? And for boys, tough, right? Of course. Violence, those kinds of issues. Well, these have very specific criteria, and they also have very specific guidelines for solutions, right? Boy, this is a really terrific program, and you've been involved since the beginning, right?
Yeah, I have. The program and the coalition fits nicely into my role as leading the community center.
Yes, right, sure.
It's certainly, there's nothing more global than dealing with the issues that the youth have in your community.
Well, you know what? It comes down to communication, and you're certainly opening up some avenues, not only for the kids, but for adults, grandparents, caregivers, who's ever in charge of watching this child grow, to be able to have the tools necessary to communicate. It's all about communication.
And I think parents don't always realize that they have the ability to shape their kids.
Yes, right.
Sometimes they're just like, I don't get this kid.
Wash your hands of it.
I don't know
right,
what they're doing. I can't deal with this. Yes, you can, and you need to.
And you need to.
You
Great.
need to.
Thank you both very much for coming in. Community Coalition for Family Wellness. I really recommend you look it up. If you have a child, there's a way for you to become part of the services that this organization provides. And it's all for the benefit of the child, which is fantastic. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.